Hey there, Adrienne Elise here, popping in, talk to you about what's going on in the planets and the stars. Welcome to GAIA Daily for July 26th through 29th, 2019. I'm Adrienne Elise. So we're coming up on this very powerful Leo new moon, and leading up to this new moon, we have actually a really beautiful transit. It's a complete to the heavy energy on the squeezing, the karmic purge, all this stuff that's been going on in this eclipse season. And this is Mars in Leo in trine to Jupiter in Sagittarius. And it's kind of being like, hey, up here, don't forget up here, there's a whole nother dimension to what's going on. And it's interesting too, because we're also feeling Mercury in conjunction to Venus in the end degrees of Cancer. Now, tomorrow, Venus is going to shift into Leo. So that means Mars, the Sun, and Venus will all be in Leo. So we'll be feeling more of this reaching up above, expanding into a bigger perspective, feeling a little bit more accessible, the energy of inspiration, the energy of creativity. This is really good for us right now. It's helping us make sense of everything that's gone on. Now, so Mercury and Venus coming together at these end degrees of Cancer is really making us challenge who we are, what we believe, what's true for us, what we want. Mercury is still in retrograde, so Mercury is going back and Venus is going forward, and they're kind of meeting, and the minds, are not meeting. Mercury represents the mind, but in the end degrees of Cancer, it doesn't know what in the heck it wants and what in the heck is going on. And we have been kind of deep into a lot of emotions and grief and stuff from the past because of the nodes being involved, and Saturn and Pluto there at the last part of the last decan of Capricorn. And so we've been just like pulled into the past and into visceral experiences of grief and traumas, and that have no maybe resonance in our life because they might be from past lives. And a lot of confusion coming up about who we are, what we really want. And so we're feeling this, Mercury and Venus coming together says, I want to speak my truth, and I want to be who I really am. And yet we don't know who we are. And it's kind of coming face to face with this feeling of being small, where we've played small and we've agreed to be small and just be a victim of this experience of this human evolution. And it's so far from the truth, right? So now we've got an interesting juxtaposition, because we've got this Cancer energy still going on, North Node in Cancer, Mercury still retrograding in Cancer, but then we've got this Leo energy coming in. And it's actually quite a mystical combination that can help us move into new energies, because the Cancer energy is bringing us home to our emotions. It's showing us where we don't feel nurtured, showing us where we don't feel like maybe we deserve to be nurtured, and kind of bringing us face to face with the deepest inner insecurities and places that we've been trying to avoid for a long time. Now, Leo energy is reminding us of the bigger picture of who we are. And so there's an interesting energy around reaching out for those creative forces, and then face to face with what's kept us from living true to ourselves from the past, but also an opportunity to face that, find that strength within, and bust through, right? I'm seeing what right now, the opportunity I've had in my individual sessions, people are coming up to this wall that they've done so much work, and so much healing and clearing and la, 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 la. And it's just this wall, they can go only so far. So right now we're kind of getting an opportunity to bust through that wall. And this is a sweet little period of time because we don't have any really tense aspects. So we're able to fully engage into this trine and of Mars and Jupiter, saying, let's go. Mars wants to go and shine your light. And Jupiter says, yes, I've got a quest. I've got meaning. I've got purpose. I need to get on the horse and get going again, right? And so we're feeling this push. Now, tomorrow, Venus will move into Leo, and then we will have the Sun and Mars and Venus all in Leo. Mercury will join later in August. And that's an interesting thing. When Mercury turns direct on the 31st, within an hour exactly of the new moon in Leo, very potent. It will still be in Cancer, but it's like charging towards the light. It's like, okay, wait, I see that there's clarity on the horizon. I see that there's a bigger picture, and getting out of these old stories. And everything in the universe is saying, we got to get out of these old stories, and then it's like, you've got to create a new story. And yet we're coming face to face with, well, the old stories don't really fit. And then the breakdown of the ego. And I don't know who I am. And maybe I was wrong. And it's so hard to go through those types of feelings, but it's actually the most beautiful, powerful thing, because it's this ego death and the death of our attachment to who we think we are, and opening up to who we really are in the greater, bigger, wider sense, feeling better, expanding, opening up to the light. Now, this is pretty indicative of, what's happening on the 31st on Wednesday, as we've got that new moon in Leo. And then we've also got the Mercury turning direct. Now, when Mercury turns direct, it comes into this opposition with Pluto. Not quite, but it's enough to rattle our chains a little bit, right? And Pluto is this breakdown and so this ego death stuff is on the surface, because it's like, it's one thing to be wallowing around in the emotions and the past and the confusion. It's another thing to shine full light on these issues and face the music, right? And Pluto has this energy of break down whatever is no longer serving you, and maybe instead of focusing on the breakdown, we can focus on the breakthrough and the breaking open of our heart, because Leo wants to love. And it's interesting because Cancer has an energy of compassion and nurturing, right? Leo has an energy of shining your light, opening your heart, and sharing love. And the two together can be quite mystical and magical, because they're kind of opposite, and yet they can work together. And so in every situation in your life right now, part of the magic medicine that can get us through this breakdown, break open, breakthrough energy is to just throw some compassion on it, throw some love on it, add some love. And this requires that ego death, right? Because when we're in this battle of wills, which is happening right now, of having to face in ourselves and where we're coming up against other people, this denial of our true self, this deep feelings of grief around where we've denied ourselves in the past, and trying to stand up for our truth. And everybody's so triggered and so much projection going on, and it's totally messy. But if you can just stop for a second and kind of put that ego aside and all those feelings of being hurt and wronged and everything, and just, just pour some love on the situation, step back and see this outflowing of this Cancer, great mother healing force that's available to us with the North Node in Cancer, and this open heart energy that comes with the Leo energy. And of course, we cannot have compassion. This is one of the tricks, right? It's like, oh, I'm so compassionate, and a lot of times what we call compassion is actually codependent healing, or trying to help people who don't want to be helped, or whatever, or maybe compromising ourselves, and we're calling it compassion, right? Or like compromising the truth of who we are so that we can accommodate somebody else's ego. And true compassion comes from, you can only really have compassion with others when you have it with yourself. And true compassion is actually the ability to have boundaries. And that allows you to be in your own field and have that compassion for yourself. And then it's, if that energy in that place can help you not get pulled into other people's stories. right? Everybody right now wants to project and blame everyone else around them. It's part of the journey we're in right now. And it's a big bloom of garbage and nobody wants to own it, right? And of course, those empath, indigo souls, sensitive souls, light worker souls, are like, oh yeah, I'll take it on. Of course, it's all my fault, right? You know, and that's not compassion. That's unhealthy distortion, right? And it's time for us to respect and honor ourselves. Part of coming into the light of truth of who we are is stopping the compromise. And that feels like it might be hurting other people, but it actually doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. Right? When you're coming from the light of truth and the true compassion, the honoring, the sacredness within you, when you're true in that place, you know that every action you take and word you speak is coming from a place of truth and love. And it's inconsequential how another person might be affected by that. It's not your problem. Of course, that's quite an ideal to attain to, but it's a big shift around empowerment. And, you know, that's what happens when we've gone into the darkness of this deep, dark past fears, failures, grief. And now we're going to come back into the light and reap the benefit of that journey and claim the sacred space of our truth and who we are, and be at peace and presence with that. This is the gift of this times, but it's also requiring a breakdown, you know, and a breakdown of all of this, maybe where we thought we were being so loving and giving, but we were really just giving away ourselves and not actually helping. We're helping other people stay in their negative bullshit paradigm, you know. And so that's a lot of this Venus and Mercury conjunction. Mercury wants to speak the truth, and with Venus, it's like uncomfortable truths, places of that sensitivity and vulnerability, and like, ooh, I just don't want to go there, right? And yet we've been forced to go there and kind of sit there through this whole thing. And it is shifting and changing. And this is happening as Mercury turns direct, but it's still going to have to go through that third pass through the end degrees of Cancer. So we're still in it, right? But maybe we can shift it around and find the magical alchemy, the fire and the water, and bringing those together into this one light of truth, that autonomy in that sacred space within. And so the breakdown that is indicated by Mercury in opposition to Pluto, just as it turns direct, is actually a breakthrough and breaking down. So when we don't have our autonomy and that sense of self, then we have to have other mechanisms of protection. And this is where we build heart walls and cages to keep ourselves safe, you know, and it actually is keeping ourselves safe from who we really are too, and our essence and our meaning and the zest and the juice of life, right? And those vulnerabilities and those places of sensitivity inside actually open the door to richer and deeper experiences and more love and more intimacy and more trust in the world. And we are being asked to break through that wall right now, and we're being given support to do it too. And so remember, the breakdown that's happening right now is actually an opportunity for a breakthrough of a boundary that you've been coming up against for a very long time. And just sit tight, be present, know that this is an incredibly profound time, and you're taking advantage of it by being aware and being present, and, you know, yeah, feeling all of it, even though the rest of the world seems to be just going along, you know. You're really, really here. You're really real, you know, and who you are matters, and your beautiful gifts inside matter. The love you have for the world, and it's time to hold that sacred so that you can give it and be present, give it to yourself, and give it in a way that is healthy boundaries, compassion, and love for the world. And it's not easy right now. Everybody wants to hate, you know, and we forget that our spiritual evolution is about love. And all of the hate we feel, it is such a powerful time of judgment of the other person right now, judgment of the other. And it's like a mechanism, a tribal mechanism that makes us feel safe, and it is no longer appropriate. And so we've got to find that sense of sovereignty and safety within our own being, where we can be true to ourselves and understand that all judgment and all hatred is self-judgment and self-hatred. And so we heal that in the world by forgiving and loving and being conscious and aware of our process. And you've been doing that. And that's why it's been more difficult for you, but it's because you're on the path, you're on the journey, you're coming closer and closer to breaking free and breaking open your heart. So congratulations. And here we are. I'm glad we're here together. I hope you can consider joining me for the Leo new moon activation. This is a guided meditation to make the most of these energies and to move us through that wall together. You know, when we work together, we amplify our healing abilities and our love and our consciousness. And it's a really powerful way to work together and also send healing energy to our soul groups and to the collective through working with archetypes of this information and concepts as we break through these barriers together. So that's going to be at 9 a.m. in the morning. This is exactly 12 hours before the actual new moon. And so 9 a.m. on Mountain Time in the US on Wednesday, the 31st. And that's going to be a powerful energy of preparation for that new moon and Mercury turning direct happening exactly together there later in the day on the 31st. So I hope to see you there. It's $10. If you can't come at that live time, your intention to join, signing up gets you access to the replay right away. And the energy is encoded, you know, so these activations are about encoding the energy of healing, of ideal work that we want to do, of possibility for our groups, and it's available for you even if you can't make the live. So just keep that in mind. You can sign up and your questions can be answered, your issues addressed through the collective, your intention to join the group. And so you don't have to be there right when it's happening. But we are there together regardless, with our intention to join in awareness, growing and growing of our soul group, and that there's others out there going through what you're going through, and we're in it together. So I deeply appreciate the opportunity to work with you and your soul group and bring and help support the coming together of these powerful and amazing soul groups. So much potential. And what a beautiful thing to see that unfold and heal our planet and support the shift of consciousness. So thanks so much for your hard work, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Until next time, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.